MyMac Podcast 891. Facebook doesn't like ATT.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac Podcast. And yes, I know we missed a week, but you know what? The whole reason is, and here's a bit of a joke, folks. What do you call it when you travel for 4 days to spend 2 days at an event? Something Guy would do. A Guy.
Hey, and it was.
I've got to say, you have got to be really. I'm not sure that's particularly true. If I'm honest, I would say you've just got to be extremely dedicated to something which isn't ever going to be very popular
or important at all. So, all right. So let's just get right down to it. I did something very, very silly. And while that may seem like an oxymoron in some ways, it's kind of my thing, Gaz. It really is kind of my thing.
I always want to know who Oxy is, if I'm honest. I know he's a
I don't know.
I know he's a moron.
He's really dumb. Just call me Oxy. Yeah. So what I basically did was I did all of that travel down to Birmingham, Alabama, and it literally, unless you have somebody else driving with you, it's like an 11+ hour drive, not even including gas stops, bathroom breaks, to stop to get something to eat. And
at our age, those bathroom breaks can add up.
Oh, yeah. It's like, let's see, I just went 15 minutes ago. I'm looking down the road. Where's the next one? And here in the U.S., a lot of times when you pass a rest area where they'll have.
I'm glad you finished that sentence. I'm glad you finished that sentence.
There will be a sign just before you pass it that says, next rest area, X number of miles. And I don't think this is for purely informational purposes. I think it's a warning to people our age. It's like, look, you may not think you have to go right now, but the next exit isn't for 61 miles. I think it
just goes to show the demographic that you've got in that country.
Pretty much. It's like when I was like in my 20s, I'd be like, I'm not even going to go to the one that's 60 miles away.
You wouldn't even read it.
No, it would mean absolutely nothing.
It would go straight over your head, much like this show does for most people.
For most people. However, getting back to the whole reason why I was on the road, it was to go to Birmingham, Alabama to watch originally, at least all of most of the various games that were going to be played there by the new United States Football League, USFL League, which seems redundant, but okay.
You don't need the extra league at the end.
Well, some leagues do, Gaz.
Right. Okay.
Some leagues do. So my wife, of course, wanted to have nothing whatsoever to do with any of it.
I can't think why that would be.
Don't know. I think it was because I dragged her all the way down to Orlando the last time there was another league that was going to play. And so when I brought up I was thinking about doing it this time, she gave me the look. The wife look that basically says, you know that guy Oxy?
Yeah.
He's got nothing on you.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
He's got a brother
named Guy.
And you're his proxy Oxy.
Yeah. I am. I pretty much was. So yeah, would I do it again? Sure. But I'd probably fly based on how much I paid for gasoline on this trip.
Yeah.
Now I rented a car.
Can I just ask a question? Have the gas prices in the US gone up a lot or not?
It has. It's gone. Right. They've gone up in some cases more than $2 a gallon. Now that's nothing compared to how much you guys pay per liter
I've just got to think. How many litres in a gallon? It's about 4, isn't it?
About 4, yeah.
Okay, so we're paying about anywhere between 160 and 170 per litre.
Yeah. Which means you're looking at like $7 a gallon. Easy. Whereas, we're paying around $4 a gallon for regular, and you have people in this country that are just losing their minds over that.
People here are pretty much losing their minds. Don't worry.
But here's the thing. You don't have as far to go in the UK.
No, but it's costing us 3 times as much.
Yes. But I mean, could you drive 11 hours in any direction?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All you have to do is go through one of the major cities and you'll be driving through, for about 11 hours. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, not even I'm just talking about distance. If you were able to go speed.
At a push from Lansdowne to John O'Groats, it's probably getting on that way, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I did that twice.
But you'd start with your feet in the sea and you'd end with your feet in the sea, I've got to say. So,
well, I started with my feet in Washington, D.C. BS and ended with my feet in the South BS.
Well, there you go. It was your choice.
It was. And, I thought I was going to be smart about this trip, Gaz, and I was going to get up at 4 o'clock. Smart is, yes, it's relative term.
Relative term in your case.
In regards to what I was doing, which wasn't that smart in the first place. But the smart part was I was going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So that I could avoid all of the morning traffic.
I think that is very smart because at least you'd start off tired and be tired all the way through.
Yeah. I mean, why waste time? Just be tired right at the beginning.
Yeah.
However, the app that I used on my phone did not wake me up.
Hang on a minute. Are we referring this back to some sort of Apple connection now?
Yes. Yeah. It actually has an Apple connection.
Excellent.
I didn't use the clock app, which is built into iOS. I used this other app that has disappointed me in the past, and by God, it dispointed me again.
Well, at least it's consistent.
It is. It is also now no longer on my phone. It was like, okay, enough of that crap.
I have perfectly no issues with the alarm clock, which is on the phone.
Yeah, you hold the stupid button down and you say, wake me up at blah, blah, blah o'clock. And it says, okay, I'll do that. And then it does. Only I would get an app that mimics functionality that's built into the operating system and that has consistently disappointed me in the past and insist on using it again. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I did wake up on my own about 5, all pissed off because I wasn't up at 4. And I was on the road by 5:30, which still meant that I was avoiding most of it from the DC area. It also meant I was going to hit it in Richmond, but as it turned out, was not an issue. Good. Because a few hours before I left, 2 semi-tractor trailers and a car decided that they wanted to occupy the same space at the same time, and physics intervened, and it was not a good ending for anybody. Right. And it closed 2 of the 3 lanes on I-95, which meant that I was going nowhere. Fast. I was stuck in a horrible traffic jam for almost 2 hours.
Do we need to know this?
It's part of the journey. It's
not our journey, Guy.
No. But I did
choose it.
I hadn't planned on making it all the way through in one day anyway, so I just went as far as I could, and then finished the drive down on Friday. And the games were a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching the games. The first one had about 20,000 people in attendance. I mean, the place was reasonably full. Not so much the next day, which was Easter. Who knew that people in Birmingham, Alabama weren't interested in going to what is essentially minor league American football games on Easter Sunday?
Those church people.
What's wrong with them? Why wouldn't they do it? But the seats were really inexpensive. It was like $25 for the best seats in the house, and I think it still is. And I had great seats right there on the 50-yard line for all of the games that I watched, because I watched 2 of the games the next day, and they had to postpone one because of thunderstorms. I got woke up at 3:00 in the morning, Gaz, with a thunderclap that sounded like it was outside of my door.
Wasn't that app that didn't wake you up the day before?
Yeah,
it was like 3:00 the following day.
I'm not going to wake you up.
We're going to make up to Guy, and we're going to wake him up an hour earlier than he actually wanted to the following day.
On the day that he didn't have to get up that early anyway.
Yeah.
So, but they postponed one of the games till Monday, but I wasn't going to wait until Monday to start my drive back. And so I spent Monday and Tuesday of last week driving back. But the funny part, beyond all of the nonsense that I've already done, on my way back, I stayed at the hotel, and it wasn't planned, but it just worked out that way. I stayed at the hotel where we got Kismet, one of our tabby cats, 6 years ago, when we'd stayed at that hotel for one of Guy's, my son Guy's crew meets. No, I did not. However, the woman behind the counter remembered me and gave me like this huge discount on a room staying that night, like $20 off. And it was like, well, that makes paying $80 to fill my car with gas 5 times completely worth it to save that $20.
Okay.
But it was a great trip, and I had a wonderful time. And yes.
And before we get on to the next bit that you've mentioned here, can I say to everybody who's listening to this and not watching, I've got to say, Guy is wearing some fantastic USFL regalia. It looks to me. Will you let me finish?
Yes.
It looks to me, folks, like he's still got his damn Raven shirt on, which is nothing to do with USFL. But the reason is
my Brooklyn hat
and his Brooklyn hat. Well, Brooklyn, what? What's that?
Dodgers, which are now in LA.
Baseball was that?
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Dodgers from Brooklyn in LA.
In LA. It was my father's favorite team.
I just don't get it. Anyway, what's this something to do with casting live in a fishing pond?
When I took Wednesday off, which was the day before I was going to leave, because I wanted to do all of my packing and get all my tech gear together.
You got to bed early. I started
a bit early.
Woken up. Yeah.
So when I got up, all I had to do was just pick up a few things, throw them in the car, and start driving down the road. So I got together all of the live casting stuff that I would need if I had actually needed it while I was on the road, that I didn't need. But I had it.
You had it in case.
I had it just in case. I had a mic stand. I had the Elgato Wave 3, which is a great travel mic.
Is it like, a companion to you? You can't go anywhere without that sort of stuff.
Just in case there might be someone somewhere that says, we really need Guy Searle to come on to our podcast.
Guy was that desperate. He said to me on the Sunday, I think it was, Cassie, are you going to do a podcast this weekend? I went, no, I'm not. I'm not set up to do it. So
what did Steve say?
He went, no, but I'm not on the Steve page. So let me get to the Steve page. Okay. Steve, what did I say?
No.
That's what
exactly. That's exactly what Steve said. And it's funny because that's what he would have said every single time. Yeah. So now I had a camera, I had a microphone, I had a computer, I had a separate monitor for the computer.
We don't care. We don't care, Guy. You're the fool that took it. We don't care.
I did.
All right. You didn't use it, so why are you telling us?
I did. I actually recorded a couple of Guy's Daily Drives in the hotel room because I forgot the little hang down thing.
Have you understood the ironic statement you just made?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course, Gaz. I did Guy's Daily Drive from a hotel room.
Brilliant. So what mic are you using?
Oh, I'm using the Lewitt 440 Pure. LCT 440
So
Pure.
why have you put the mic that you've got in the show notes?
Oh,
in?
Because that was actually supposed to be a pick. I
Okay, well, we haven't mentioned it.
My pick.
We haven't mentioned it yet, so I'll leave that for you to sort out later. Anyway, Guy, this week I have been using my iPhone and my iPad and my Mac.
Nice.
Using numbers and pages to create the documentation and executive treasury report for this coming Monday. And
for the UK? For the whole country?
No, not for our little area, our little society. And I've got to say, Guy, that I'm really actually finding using the iPad and even my phone to do checking of those documents, which I've put into iCloud, really easy and really useful. So, yeah, thumbs up. That's all I can say. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Although I really am not liking the Microsoft auto updater message that I'm constantly getting every time I turn on my computer, telling me that this is a data notice and they have to tell me about this data notice. I click OK. That doesn't make it go away. So I'm doing lots of Googling to find out all of the ways that I can basically kick that into touch. And that's a rugby reference. Yes. Anyway, I think, Guy, I think we're close to a certain time of the show, which could be something to do with snippets. Yes. See what I did there?
This was really kind of a long intro, wasn't it?
Massively long, all because it was about football.
What? You mean soccer?
No. Okay, so Apple has started manufacturing iPhone 13 in India.
Good.
Apple's Cook says circumventing the App Store would harm user privacy. We agree.
Yes.
Don't we? Yes.
Oh, Apple, yeah. If I don't have anything snarky to say, I pretty much agree with anything that you're saying.
Excellent. Okay, right. Apple has introduced the new version of iMovie featuring storyboards and Magic Movie. Apple are to donate $1 to the World Wildlife Fund. That's better. For every Apple Pay transaction in its stores. Wow. I'm going to go into the store, or if you're in it, that's probably now it says in its stores. Now, I don't know whether that's worldwide or just in the US, if I'm honest. It should be worldwide because it's the World Wildlife Fund. Anyway, if it is, just go into the Apple store and buy lots of little things that you need, of course.
At a time. Like close out your transaction and then go back into it again.
Absolutely.
Now, when you first started to read that story, it's like Apple's donating $1. It's like,
wow, is that it? Is that really? Is that yeah, whoopee-doo.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
For All Mankind, star Jodie Balfour joins another Apple TV Plus original with Ted Lasso, Series 3. I'm
sure she'll be better in Ted Lasso than she probably was. I stopped watching it. Honestly, I couldn't.
I quite enjoyed all the series. I'm watching another series on Apple TV. I'm not sure if we mentioned this before.
Which one?
It's the UK series. I've forgotten what it's called now. I'll come back to it later.
Okay.
But it's basically the UK MI5 one. The name will come to me later. And been quite enjoying it. A police officer has shared firsthand his experience with a cool Apple Watch fall detection feature. I think we're getting bored of those now, if I'm totally honest. I've been asked by my phone on a number of occasions, "Are you okay? Did you fall over?" No! I didn't.
And you have to answer, because if you don't answer, there will be an ambulance sent to wherever the hell it is that you are.
Absolutely. Immediately.
So always answer those.
Immediately. Apple TV Plus debuts a trailer for a new surfing docu-series, Make or Break, which is premiering premiering on April 29th. The reason I brought this up is because I thought you might like that, guy, as you're a bit of a surf dude.
Well, I have certainly enjoyed trying to surf.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
but you still enjoy it. You'd enjoy watching, people who can do it.
Yeah. My success rate with surfing is about, let me see, carry the 3, then add 0.
That's close enough for me.
Yeah.
Apple Maps has added cycling directions for users in Chicago, Detroit, and other US cities.
Huh.
Do you know, I've got to say,
are they also going to include the death rate of all of these cyclists that are trying to
they need to get
bicycle
a move
in those
on
cities?
Because come on, folks. If I want to cycle somewhere and there are no cycle routes, what are you telling me that I can't get there? So I then have to choose a road route, but I might just crazy. Anyway, Apple has said that nearly 20% of all material used in its products in 2021 was recycled and has added a recycled gold certificate to something or other.
Wait a minute. Are they saying that all the stuff they made in 2021 has already been recycled, or that it's made of recycled materials?
And hi, everyone. Now, there was a bit of a stutter there, and there's probably, you're thinking, what is going on? Well, I did a further 14 Gaz's snippets and was wondering why on earth Guy wasn't responding. I could see him, and I could see his lips moving, and I thought, I'm just going to ignore him. And then I suddenly realized, actually, I usually take that as white noise and don't hear him anyway, but I actually can't hear anything he's saying. So maybe something's gone wrong. So there was a slight hiccup in the whole process here. Guy's Mac, we believe, did a circle of death doom. I am not going to listen to any more of this rubbish. And Guy's had to restart. So we are continuing from the point where I say to Guy, cheer up, it's all right. It'll be all right in the night. And actually, yes, Apple has said that nearly 20% of all material used in its products in 2021 was recycled. And it now gives a recycled gold certificate for something or other.
Oh, it was, as long as it was for something or other, because
I love
that's the important part. That's the important part. God, that was so weird. It was like, now do I have Farrago running? Yes. All of a sudden, Gaz, and this is how weird it was. I couldn't hear you. StreamYard was basically like, oh, it looks like you turned off your mic. Every single, now you know what Farrago looks like. You've got all the little boxes with all the different little sounds. Every single one of them had a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark in it. So, and anytime I put the cursor over any of those things, including Hindenburg, spinning wheel, and it's like, well, I'm not an expert
here,
but there is something very, very wrong here. And
okay,
if I was smart,
you'd have had your little snippet available. Once you find it, which could take some time, folks. Once you find it and play it, I'm going to carry on with my snippets if that's all right with you, Guy. Unless you want me to carry on now. No,
go ahead.
A Ukrainian man has deployed Apple's Find My app to trace the Russian troops, Guy. Using Apple's Find My app, a Ukrainian man has been able to track the redeployment of Russian troops to the east of the country via a pair of AirPods that were stolen from his name near Kyiv, K-Y-I-V, Kyiv, I'll call that. And I think, yes, pity that they couldn't put some sort of other device that homed in on it as well. But I'm not going to say what I think that should be.
Well, what the Russians are saying right now, Gaz, is
there's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Apparently, iPhone SE3 sales continue to disappoint. A new carrier survey data shows. Now, that is interesting because it's not any information from analysts trying to work out via third-party manufacturing
parts and
parts. Yeah, this is actually from the carriers, so that is a little bit more interesting. But I'm sure Apple will sort that out in some way or another. An open letter to Apple. An open letter to Apple has been produced, saying, will it publicly stand behind the use of Final Cut Pro in TV and film? Back in 1999, the first version of Final Cut Pro was revealed at the NAB show in Las Vegas. 23 years later, with the 2022 NAB show in Las Vegas just days away, a collective, Guy, not just one or two, a collective of editors are backing an open letter to Apple CEO Tim Cook, seeking improvements to the popular NLE. What's NLE? Do you know what NLE is?
It's actually a term related. Right now, all the people that do a lot of digital video are screaming, "It's blah 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 blah! You freaking idiot!"
Well, that's fine. I don't know what it's called, so that's fine. We'll move on. Anyway, to an open letter to the popular NLE. The open letter asks Apple to do a better job of promoting Final Cut Pro publicly, along with adding new remaining features that are needed for wider industry adoption. That's fine. What they're saying is there's nothing else out there which is as good as Final Cut Pro, but we need a few extra add-ons to it. Can you please do it, Apple? Apple Guy has ranked. This is not Apple Guy. I'm not talking about an Apple Guy. I'm talking about Apple Guy. Has ranked behind Disney and Tesla in a new brand intimacy survey. I said that distinctly, seductively close to the mic.
Yeah, well, this is what a lot of people say to them.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Yeah.
Apple Watch Activity Challenge set for International Dance Day with exclusive awards.
Okay.
I'm saying no more. Apple Card users can now get 3% cash back on Apple Pay purchases at Ace Hardware. No good to anyone outside of the US, I would imagine. But if you like buying stuff at Ace Hardware and you've got an Apple Card, use it.
Well, here's the thing. Ace is the place for the helpful hardware man. And they're not a sponsor of this podcast. But by God, they should be.
By God, everyone should be.
That's
Smartphone shipments are down 11% globally, Guy, while demand still rises for the iPhone 13. They just keep
but at the same time, the iPhone SE, everyone is like, "Oh no, we don't want an iPhone SE," especially the French. There
was a video which has offered a closer look at how Apple uses its Daisy robot to recycle iPhones. I may put that link into the show notes if you haven't seen it. It was quite interesting just to see. It is.
It's fascinating to see that thing work.
It is, but I think when you look at it and when you start looking at the numbers, it is quite small scale. But it is interesting. It is interesting. Apple has released a new firmware for the MagSafe battery pack. So if you've got one of those, make sure that you've updated to the latest firmware. Now, there's a reason I put this in, and I'm now going. But the next story was Netflix. Netflix loses subscribers for the first time in 10 years and blames account sharing. I just want to say Apple does a good job at account sharing, Netflix. Maybe you ought to think about the fact that there's going to be a lot of people that if you start saying, you shouldn't be sharing your account, will then go, well, I won't buy you at all then.
Yeah. And also, when you consider that Netflix raised their, at least here in the US, raised their prices like twice last year.
Oh, sorry. No, they didn't do it twice last year, but they have.
Well, at least once, and a significant jump.
I think they raised it once last year and once this year so far. So
yeah, it's now like, depending on what level. I mean, my subscription to Netflix, and I'm thinking about dropping it, is like almost $20 a month now. And I just don't watch enough stuff. I'm watching more stuff on Hulu and Apple TV and some of the other associated services that I can get through Apple TV than I'm watching on Netflix. And there's some great stuff on Netflix.
Anyway, this is Snippets, Guy.
Rant, rave.
HomePod appreciating in value following discontinuation. I don't know if you've seen this, but actually, apparently, the large HomePod, is now apparently going for much more than its original sale price on eBay and other such sites.
Other sites are also available.
They couldn't give the damn things away when they were going, look, we're making this great big speech.
You say that, but they didn't lower the price to get rid of them.
No, they didn't.
Think on that then, Guy. Think on that.
Well, regardless, now they cost even more than they did when Apple was selling them at what, $349?
Correct. Apple must compensate Brazilian customer over $1,000 for selling iPhone without a charger. A judge has ruled. So Apple must compensate a Brazilian customer. So I'm assuming this is one person who recently purchased an iPhone for selling the device without a charger, including the box, which violates consumer law, a judge has ruled. Now, I can understand if they are going to fine Apple an X amount which comes to the government and also say that they've either got to give him a charger or give some recompense. But $1,000? Incredible.
And the thing is, what happens when all the other people, 12 of them that bought iPhones in Brazil start to do the same thing? It's like...
I've already got mine. It's en route.
What, your $1,000 or your Apple charger?
My Apple phone that I bought from Brazil.
Oh, very good. And then just go, it doesn't have a charger. But you'll have to say it in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So important. Remember that.
I've got to do a Portuguese accent, haven't I? Apple to roll out child safety feature that scans messages for nudity to UK iPhones. The feature that searches messages will go ahead after delays over privacy and safety concerns. So I think you've already got it in the UK. In the US, we're going to get it in the UK.
Yeah, we're going to get it all right.
Apple's lobbying spend hits a record high as the company resists antitrust pressure. Good. You need to spend that money and people need to listen. But is that how it works?
Well, what we're going to do is this company likes going down this avenue. So we're going to say, you need to go down this avenue, and then they'll start spending some lobbying money. Ha ha!
That's what's going on here, isn't it? Yes, I think
pretty much.
Apple Pay in Russia, suspension of service leads to a lawsuit against the iPhone maker. That made me laugh. I just laughed when I read that. Women in Tech report shows that Apple's leadership is now ahead of the curve. I'm not going to say which curve, but it's ahead of it. Apple has pulled the plug.
Well, wait, hold on. There was actually a quote from one of the people that were affected by that.
Go on.
We're just kidding. Okay. It's a joke. We're just kidding.
I thought I'd got away with it, but now you've emphasized it and we're in deep trouble. Apple has pulled the plug on dated $20 Mac OS server app. That was supposed to be quite a good app, but they've now pulled the plug, so it's now discontinued, so you can't get it. It's a shame.
Well, I thought that they did that like 2 or 3 OSs ago.
After virtually discounting the macOS server eons ago, Apple has officially pulled the plug on the $20 suite of server features for Mac users. So no, I thought so as well, but it looks like it was still available for purchase, and it's now gone. I put this in, and again, I'm not really sure why, so I'm not going to read that.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting us know that you're not going to read something that you can't remember why you put it in. That's
Apple to. Well, all right. I'll tell you then. Apple to discontinue Fleet Smith. Apple
Only straw.
What are you saying, Guy? What are you saying?
It's so often associated with me.
All right. Well, I'll tell you then. Apple to discontinue Fleet Smith Enterprise Device Management Service on October 21st. I've got no idea. It was in there.
I'm not right about doing things.
That's what that company said.
Now, this is a little bit more serious.
Okay.
The FCC commissioner calls out Apple CEO Tim Cook over human rights hypocrisy. U.S. Federal Communications Commission, the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr, this week sent Apple CEO Tim Cook a letter calling out Cook's hypocrisy on human rights. Dear Mr. Cook, last week you gave a speech in Washington, D.C., in which you spoke eloquently about what you described as Apple's commitment to operating its App Store in a manner that promotes privacy and human rights. You expressed Apple's commitment to protecting people from data industrial complex built on a foundation of surveillance, and you spoke out forcibly against sorry, I've just lost my spot. Forcibly against a reality in which technology is exploited to rob humanity of that which is foundational. As a loss we cannot accept. I am concerned that your words in Washington founder upon the harsh reality of your actions in China.
What actions in China?
Well, the lack of them, possibly.
Apple has stuff made in China, as does every other American flippin' company. Sorry, to sit there and to call out Apple just because they actually have standards that they try to apply.
Yes, but he's calling out because they are emphasizing something which maybe should be a little bit more careful the way he's doing it. I get why he's calling it out, but I also agree with you in terms of the fact that it is also very hypocritical, because I can imagine if you went to that commissioner's house and opened the door and had a look at probably the first product you saw, it may well be made in China. So
yeah, go into his kitchen, okay? Just go into his kitchen, take one step and look around, and you'll sit there and go, China. Shut up.
Yeah, yes, but well, not shut up, but I'd like to see Apple's response to that.
I'd like to see a little more consistency from all of these people that. Okay, you know what? This isn't the.
Move on, guy.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't get all upset.
It makes just my blood boil.
The coin.
Sorry.
Edit point. Coinbase CEO Apple says Apple's crypto rules highlight potential antitrust issues. I'm not going to go there because you'll just get even more upset.
I'm not upset.
Apple.
You can tell from the tone of my voice.
Apple has launched a repair program for Apple Watch Series 6 blank screen issue. That's kind of admitting that there's a problem, but at least you can get it fixed. And that, folks, I think was a very eventful Gazzy Snippets, which is now over. I think one of us ought to take us out before we Yes. Do you want me to take us out?
What would you do with a brain if you had one?
I don't know what I would do with a brain.
Well, I'm going to take us out. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, everybody, whether you've got hypocritical statements that you'd like to make or not, Guy and Gaz, who are never hypocritical,
no,
they will be right back. Yes, they will.
I'm flying to Birmingham.
Oh, look, a pig.
And welcome everyone to part two, for like the fifth time, for the mighty MyMac.com podcast. Some of the shenanigans may be in the after show. Who knows? I don't know. It depends on how long I have to edit. But what we are here to talk about is AT&T. No, not the telecommunications company, Gaz.
You said AT&T, though.
Yes, I did. AT&T. Well, there's two T's.
Yeah, but that's
don't
not
tease
what it
me.
says, though.
Don't tease me.
It doesn't say "and" in there.
Should I real quick put that in? No, that's a percentage mark. Never mind. Okay. Well, Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're not talking about that company anyway. We are talking about Apple's app tracking transparency feature that was introduced in iOS, iPadOS 14. Now, in essence, websites and mobile apps have had their own way for quite a while monetizing information gathered from our phones and tablets. This included where we are or were, what we search for outside of Google's own tracking, which is a whole other story, what we buy, the things we say on various social media platforms, and so on. Apple's app tracking transparency features means that we can say no to being tracked into
what
things
is it we
that
can
we
say,
do.
Steve? What is it we can say, Steve?
No.
Thank you.
See, Steve knows. Steve actually knowed right there.
Node.
He knowed. N-O-E-D. That spells node.
How about
it means that we're not going to be tracked in the things that we do and say on our mobile devices. And there's not much that the app makers can do about it except ask our permission. Now, it's not just Facebook, Gaz, but nearly every social media platform that's doing this and has for years. And it's what Apple's marketing wants to tell us as being a really bad problem, which it is. Now, while it is a problem, some might say that is the price that we have to pay for receiving free services, and that we should just go along with the I'm laughing because of never mind. It's too much to go into.
Just carry on.
That we should just go along with the program. Now, Apple seems to feel differently, and from the data being produced, so do many of their users. Now, I read an article on Forbes that said that ATT may cost Facebook up to $13 billion in 2022. And other services like YouTube could see losses of $2 billion, $500 million for Snap, and half a billion. No, it says million, but $500 million for Twitter. So how do they get around these restrictions? Gaz,
before you go on to that, I'd just like to say, so think about that, folks. They are saying that these companies could lose billions of dollars on not being able to track you. You get
targeted advertising.
You get a free little app, but they're making billions of dollars in the background. I'm saying no more. You move on.
Yeah. Free doesn't always mean free.
No.
So how they get around this is mostly by trying to be annoying. When you're logging in, there may be a checkbox that's required to be checked that allows tracking, or maybe limited functionality. Similar. Now, I have run into this next thing I'm about to say so many times, and I generally do not go back to websites that do this. And it's similar to paywalls that only let you read a little bit of the story before requiring a paid subscription or to log in with your information, which of course would then also include them being allowed to track you.
And guess who gives you links to those websites with those snippets of stories that you've got to sign into? Google
and Facebook.
They all do
Twitter.
They do it. And yet you've got to then pay again. So don't send me to those sites. Send me to a site that actually gives me the full story.
Like CNN. No, not CNN. Because if you go to CNN, look, you can look this up. If you go to CNN in Safari, Safari will tell you how many trackers CNN is allowing every time you go from one story to the next. And the last time I looked at it, it was upwards of 50 different trackers.
I like that because what I do is I go onto sites like that, and the first story that I go onto, I'll then do a search for something like sheep dip, and it's great because they don't often have stories about sheep dip, and but it just makes me wonder what they think
about you wanting to know about sheep dip.
Yeah,
what you'll notice is, in the sidebar on Facebook, there will suddenly be, for some reason, ads related to
Wool products.
sheep tip. Yeah.
Well, no, wool products, wool-related products.
We think you might like this comb that's used on sheep.
You move on. So the question
Moving
is...
on.
So what is the question?
The question is, are these services that I pay no money for worth the amount of data that I'm giving them? Are there alternatives that you can use that will behave better? Or is there a cost associated with using them? Like maybe most of your targeted audience, family, friends, etc., that might not use that particular service, or that there might be a monthly fee associated with it. And in the end, all Apple can do is provide us a choice. So if you don't want to be tracked, and again, there's consequences to all of this.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be
Both
tracked
sides.
by Twitter or the various social media companies that make up Meta, you can just not use those services. The problem that you'll run into, though, is what will you replace those services with that will also include the people, family, and friends that you want to keep in touch with. And most of them are likely not going to be on those other services, which really sucks. And I don't know, would you be willing to pay a monthly fee, Gaz, for something like Facebook if all of your family and friends were on there and they didn't track what the stuff that you were doing? Or do you think it's not worth it either way?
It's not worth it. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. I just don't think it's worth it. That's the point, and that's what they're scared about. If they start having to realize that they've got to put this in, a lot of people go and say, "Yeah, really? I've got to spend that? Really? Nah, it's not worth it."
Yeah.
So that goes back to the point that I made, that they're making a lot of money out of something that you probably, if you thought about it really carefully, you think it really don't need to use that. And using the sheep dip analogy, it's a little bit like people just being sheep. And think for yourself, folks. Think for yourself. And I think most of our audience are an intelligent lot, Guy, that would do exactly that.
Oh,
are you nodding? Are you nodding your head?
I sort of am.
Hit it.
I was there.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. So actually, if you've got a trackpad, Guy, I came up with a couple of tips, which were basically to, if you tap your finger on the trackpad to click, you may choose to do that. You may merely just tap the trackpad rather than clicking and making a clicking noise. Make sure that the tap to click feature is enabled. And then I thought, well, what about the swipe gesture as well with 3 fingers on the trackpad? Because that can do a plethora of different things. So my main tip here is to actually go into the trackpad settings, if you've got a trackpad, by going into
system preferences.
Go into system preferences and then trackpad, and have a look and have a play, because actually the trackpad is quite a useful little tool. And I'm not going to tell you that I do one thing or another, because that may not be how you want to use it. But if you go in, you can actually utilize various different gestures on your trackpad to make your life just that little bit easier. And you may also go, I never knew it did that. So go into system preferences, go into trackpad, have a play, folks. That's my advice.
Yeah, but don't use rude gestures. That's not good.
You can use whatever gestures you like.
Are you nodding your head?
I am. Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Okay, is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Okay.
Brilliant.
For pick's sake. Elgato Wave 3 USB microphone is my for pick's sake this week, which not inconsistently, I can't even think of the word. I am getting so old. What is the word? coincidentally, not uncoincidentally, however that word goes, words are hard. Words are very, very hard. Is the microphone that I took with me down to Birmingham as part of my travel live casting kit.
That's the microphone that he didn't use when he went down with it, folks.
Well, I did, just not for anything important.
Don't go there. Don't go
Okay,
there,
we won't go there again. We won't go there again. Have you got a pick this week, Gaz?
I haven't. No, I'm being sloppy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Your pick can be the timeout.com list of helpful Ukrainian donation sites that you can check out for safe ways to donate to the Ukrainian people in this time of their crisis.
Nice.
Some of those also include the Ukrainian Red Cross, redcross.org.ua, and Doctors Without Borders, which apparently is a French site.
Yes, I think it is the Jeux Sans Frontières.
Yeah, but they're also, I mean, we'll put aside the whole thing about them being, French, and just say they do really, really good work. And of course, we're just kidding. Thank you, French people everywhere, for having Doctors Without Borders.
Good
I don't know where I was going.
Good try.
It was a stretch.
It was a very long stretch. Yes.
It was. Oh, pull it back.
Just
Okay.
keep going. Just move
keep
on.
going.
What happens now?
We got a lot of stuff from feedback, audio feedback this week. We did from one person, and it was revenge.
Oh.
It was revenge because we called this person out for not putting something in a couple of weeks ago.
And then we didn't do a show, so he's probably really annoyed with us. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're reaping the benefits of all of the stuff that he put in. And again, thank you, person who will become very obvious in just a minute. We really do appreciate the fact that you and everyone else who has taken the time to send us stuff through audio or through email less frequently, that you've sent us all this stuff. We really do appreciate it. So here it is, and this is going to take a while, so strap in.
On the last MyMac podcast, I was accused of having fallen down on the job and slacking off as far as leaving messages. So over the next couple of days, I'm going to test the capacity of their voicemail system. I'll start with a joke. I gave a cheese grater to a blind man once. He said it was the most violent book he had ever read. Which is the least interesting of all the animals? A boar. A man was admitted to the hospital after swallowing several small plastic horses. He's said to be in stable condition.
Hey guys, you two really ought to learn sign language. It's quite handy.
I may have fallen in love with this girl from South Korea. I think she's my soulmate. What do you do when the chemist gets sick? If you can't heal him and you can't cure him, you bury him.
Very good. I like that.
Don't trust atoms. They make up everything.
They do.
They do.
Never get drunk before a calculus lesson. You should never drink and derive.
Agreed.
What kind of photos do you take with your mouth? Toothpicks. How many boy bands does it take to change a light bulb? No one's been able to figure it out because boy bands don't last as long as light bulbs.
Very good.
A Duke University student is walking down the street and he sees a sign in front of a shop that says River Cruise, $50. He walks into the shop, puts down $50 and says, I want the River Cruise. The gentleman behind the counter gets the bat out from under the counter, knocks him out with it, ties him to a plank, and tosses him in the river. Later that day, a UNC student,
University of North Carolina,
comes in, puts down his $50. Same thing happens. The two of them are floating down the river, and the Duke student says, I wonder if they serve dinner on this cruise. The UNC student says, well, I don't know, but they didn't last year. How many Vulcans does it take to change a light bulb? 1.000.
Very good.
How many Freudians does it take to change a light bulb? 2. 1 to screw in the bulb and 1 to hold the penis. Ladder. Why do so many Italian men grow mustaches? It's in an attempt to look more like their mothers. What did the Zen master say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. What do you call a lawyer that's gone bad? Senator. What's the difference between Donald Trump and Jane Fonda? Jane Fonda actually went to Vietnam. Why don't Italians like Jehovah's Witnesses? We don't like any witnesses. Did you hear about a paranoid dyslexic? He always felt like he was following someone. Why do so many blondes move to L.A.? So that they can spell the town where they live. How do you sink a submarine full of blondes? Knock on the hatch. What did Mickey Mouse say when you asked about his dog? Nothing. We don't talk about Pluto. When Guy Searle was born,
the
doctor came out into the waiting room and said to Mr. Searle, "I'm sorry, sir. We've done everything we could," but he still pulled through. Hey, guys, I got a riddle for you. What's the difference between death and listening to the MyMac Podcast? Dead people never wish that they were listening to the MyMac Podcast.
And that's it.
So, how many different calls was that? Do you know?
Oh, my God. My phone was blowing up, literally. And what made it worse, for whatever reason, the ringtone came back on for the Skype application. And it was like, what the hell? And so I'd pull my phone out and it'd be like, oh, it's Skype. I'd put my phone down and then like 5 minutes later, oh, it's Skype. Oh, it's Skype. And it was like that for like 5-6 days. It was like a couple times a day. Greg would call in with more stuff.
Well done, Greg. That's all
Yes.
I can say. Thank you very much. Yes.
We
And we'll never
applaud
call
you.
you out for being a slacker again.
My God, no. We
will you,
not.
Guy?
No.
No. I think he could have done a few more though, personally.
No. Get Gaz's number this time.
Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story here.
Okay.
When back in the day, this is way back, we had a friend who just got an answer machine. So, this was landlines, and answer machines were kind of relatively new. So me and
that
my
was like
friend
high
said,
tech.
It was high tech. Me and a mate said, right, let's keep ringing up and fill up the answer machine. 30 minutes worth of messages. And we kept going. We kept ringing and it'd be alternate. And we said, you've got to listen to the whole recording because you don't know whether you've got an important message in the middle of these. Yes, it was very funny. So thanks very much, Greg. I get it. Lovely.
Are you still friends with that guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Just check. Is he still friends with you? I guess should have been the question I asked.
No.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know anyone named Gaz. And why he said it like that,
I don't know. He wasn't French.
We don't even know. He wasn't even French.
He wasn't even a man. It was a woman.
Which really confuses me. Okay, if you would like to support this show after all of that, patreon.com/MacPettit. You can go to ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot. Gaz.
Yes.
If people wanted to get a hold of you and say, you're not going to give Greg your telephone number, are you? How would they do so?
I would advise that they send an email to Gaz, G-A-Z,
Cars.
at mymac.com, or on the Twitters, which I do still occasionally look at. It is twitter.com/Gazmaz, G-A-Z-M-A-Z. Or you can actually tweet both Guy and moi on the Twitters, twitter.com/Guy Guy and Gaz. GUYANDGAZ.
Cars.
I think I best stop that music now. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's FWDBACK at mymac.com. Now, who is that guy behind the curtain? Because
pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
Don't know.
Nice.
Don't know. I tell you what.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Guy?
Yeah, it's Guy.
His name was Guy.
It was definitely.
Guy says.
What?
Do we know it was a guy?
I can't say. Because if you want
An email from Guy.
No fooling.
That's the way to do it.
Every single week. It's like, will this be the week that I hang myself from the rafters? I don't know.
I wouldn't do that to you, Guy.
No.
This week.
And the worst part is I don't even have any rafters. There's no rafters.
No rafters. Anyway.
No rafters at all. So if you would like to get a hold of me, you can send an email through the email client of your choice to guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. You can also go over to vertshark.com and see all of the odds and all of the vids. You can go on over to YouTube. Of all places, YouTube. Look up the Vert Shark channel, and you can see all of the videos there, not just from this show, but from Guy's Daily Drive that I did in hotel rooms, and also other stuff that I do. You can also reach us through a Skype telephone number, just as Greg did.
I didn't hear you give the Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I'm Mac Parrot and Vert Shark over there on the Twitters. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not the same man that I used to be. How many years ago?
Anyway, number of what is that?
Oh, the Skype telephone number.
I think it's 195-463-7030.
So close, except every single one of those numbers were wrong. All you have to do is dial a 1 or a +1 if you're outside the United States. Area code 703-436-9501. That number, again, Gaz, is 1 or +1 outside the United States. 703-436-9501. Now, if for some reason dialing a 1 or a +1 before other numbers disturbs you greatly, we're not going to judge, okay? But we have a way for you to get around that by going right into the Skype application and just dialing 703-436-9501. And Gaz, I would like to say, not just to you, but to the entire audience, thank you.
The entire world.
The entire world that makes up the people that listen to this show, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so very, very much for joining us in whether you watch it, listen to it, however you get it. We appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to do so and to download it and listen. For the love of God, listen to the MyMac.com podcast. And Gaz, I think we're good enough.
I think this week we were.
We were very manic. Or, sorry, I was very manic this week.
At times.
A little bit ranty. I was a little ranty. I also think, Gaz, that we're
How ironic. How ironic is the fact that you've stumbled on our smartness.
Smart enough. Yeah. No, I never stumble. I never doubt how smart we are, Gaz. I never doubt exactly what level of smartness that we have. I never doubt that whatsoever.
No, nor do I doubt that.
And that dog Wilf Garnet, who is probably a tired little pup after all the walking that you had him do.
He's an inch shorter.
Woof, 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 woof. People like us.
England gestons sie Resin für US-Spieler aus England liegen sie suchen del Fratsch Natsch Jahre net rendrem as asking complete. Birchsvendung Wein Slate Swin.
Okay, now before you tell the dad joke, this week I would like you to read what is in the little parentheses because I think it's very funny.
Icelandics are probably very small. I'm glad you find that funny, Guy.
Funny.
On the dad jokes talking about small, what do you call a pony with a sore throat, Guy?
I don't know.
A little horse. End. Let's end it there, please.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home. So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.